Alright, so today I want to show you how to make an evergreen automated webinar, which is something that a lot of you have been asking for a long time now. You've seen some other people, some experts out there doing it, and you want to know how they do it with Plus This. So that's what I'm going to show you today. So I'm just going to start by kind of giving you a walkthrough of what it's like for your visitors when they come through this, so you can kind of see the steps that they're going through, and then I'll come back and show you how we put it all together. So with any of these kind of evergreen webinars, it all starts with where they register. So this is just a little registration page I put together. Nothing fancy. There's a lot of things I could probably do to improve it, but just for the gist of it, you can kind of see what happens here. And you'll notice that there's two dates that are different. One's like 2 days out and one's 1 day out. One's in the morning, one's in the afternoon. And then I have like these two boxes or buttons that are lead boxes for someone to actually come and register for one of these webinars. So once they've registered, we take them over to a thank you page, and it just lets them know, pretty simple, you've registered. And we do a traditional like thank you bonus just to go ahead and get people to opt in for something else while they're doing something you want them to do. So this is something you can do if you have something you want them to opt into in addition, or you can just make it a regular thank you page, nothing fancy there. And then when it actually comes around to the webinar, we have a link in your email. So like this join link here, they're going to get an email with the join link, and we want this link to take them to different pages based on if they're clicking this link when the webinar is scheduled to be going, or if they're clicking the link early, or if they're clicking the link late, so that it looks like they're actually joining some kind of webinar that should be live, you know. So I'm just going to show you some examples here. So if they click on this link when it's late, this is an example of a page that they would go to for that. If they click on a link when it's early, this is what it would look like there. And then if they click when it's live, it should take them, well, they'll first come here and it'll actually start playing the webinar there for you. So that's kind of the gist of how it all plays out. And then when they're done, you can follow up however you want. So that is the walkthrough of our webinar. And I'm going to just go back step by step and show you how we put this all together. So let me start by showing you the actual campaign really quick. We'll go back a little bit. So it's a really simple Infusionsoft campaign, as you can see. It literally starts with just a form, and that's tied to that box you saw earlier. And I'll go and do this in detail, but just a high level quickly here. They fill out that form from your registration page basically, and we'll know based on which of those buttons they clicked how far out that webinar is scheduled for. So in this example, we schedule it out for 2 days at 9 a.m. and then we'll do the reminder sequences like you would for a regular webinar, and then we're going to track to see who actually attended it and who missed it, so we can follow up with each of those buckets different ways. So let's go ahead and get started. So when we start with this, the first thing you want to know how to do is how to actually make it so we have these dates that are always going to be evergreen and changing based on when someone comes to this page. And so the way we do that is we have a feature in Plus This called Display Evergreen Dates. So let me go show you one of those really quick. If we add a feature here, it's in the Implementers Toolkit, and it's kind of hidden down here. Display an evergreen date. And what's cool about these is you can add like however many days you want this date to be. So it could be like 2 days. And then you can set it to go at like 1 p.m. Set whatever time zone. I recommend when you do this step that you set the time zone that matches your Infusionsoft app, so that everything is coordinated with your Infusionsoft app. And it won't be as tricky to figure out what time it is in these different time zones based on whatever you're picking there. And then you can display like the time here, and we can include the word at. And this is just going to be a quick little test so I can show you what it looks like. And what will happen is you'll get this code that you just put on your web page where you want that date to appear. So let me show you our backend so you can see what that looks like for this one. So if we go to our schedule and we look at the back end there, we use Optimized Press. You can use whatever page builder you want, but it just has to be able to add an HTML element, and those are pretty common these days for most page builders with WordPress or whatever you're using. And so what you'll do is you just paste that code in here and you'll be good to go. If you want to style it, you can do all your styling. We don't have a styler built into PlusThis, but anyone who has some CSS skills can put this together pretty quickly, and I'll probably likely follow up with this guide on a little quick CSS guide for this feature specifically, if this is something you would like. So yeah, once you've put it in there, it's always going to show you a date that is set that far off in the future. So in the example we did there where it was 2 days at 1 p.m., this date, when they come to this page, it'll calculate what's 2 days from now and then 1 p.m. And that's how it's going to show the time here. And you'll just add like whatever time zone you want to the end of that as well, and you're good to go. So the only other thing you have to do on this page is set up a form to coordinate with each of your different options that you're giving them. And so you don't have to give them options. You can just keep it simple to just one date, or you can give them a couple just to give them some options there to see what fits their schedule better. And then what we did, and you can do this a number of ways as well, is we just used the lead box from Lead Pages. And that lets you basically make a button that can be tied to one of your Infusionsoft forms, and it looks a little nicer than a lot of these other ones out there. And we're just asking them to enter their name and email so we can lock in their spot. And so that's all it is for this page, and it's really simple. You could also do some things with just a regular Infusionsoft form if you want. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's just as long as you're having them fill out some kind of Infusionsoft form so you can move them forward. So if we look again at the next thing, you're going to see that they'll go into a reminder sequence, and we'll start tagging them and doing some other things here later. But all we've done from that form, let's just go back really quick here. On this form that they're filling out, we are just, you can see it's just first name, email. Thank you page, we just send them to the thank you page that we want, which was pretty straightforward here. Just one of these, another lead page kind of thing. And because we actually have another thing they could possibly opt in for, we want to pass on, oops, over here. We want to pass on that contact's information, and you don't have to do that depending on whether your thank you page has anything that they need to pass on to. And that is the form. So first step, all done. They're filling out a form, they're going to a thank you page. So now the next thing you have to do is you have to coordinate what those different, like welcome, you're registered, and the reminders look like, and time that correctly. So let's just start with this part, and I'll talk about this later because this is how we set up the link so that when they click on it, depending on when they're clicking on it, they'll go to one of those 3 pages, whether the webinar is live or if it's over, if it's early. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. For now, I just want to show you how to get your timing to match up with whatever option they picked. So in this example, we know that we are setting an evergreen date for 2 days from whatever day it is, and it's going to be at 9 a.m. So all we do, whenever you sign up for a webinar, what's the first thing that you get? Usually some kind of welcome email, right? Like saying, hey, you're registered, here's your join link to do it when we go live. So we'll come back and show you how to make this join link in a little bit, but that's just important to have some kind of communication that goes out right away. Then the next thing you're going to have is you're going to wait maybe like a day. You're just going to keep following along just to make sure you end up eventually matching up to that that time that you have, the 2 days, and then at 9 a.m. So we're going to wait a day and then do a reminder that says, hey, it's tomorrow's your webinar. Then we're going to wait a day, and at 8 a.m., so an hour before their scheduled webinar, we're going to remind them and say that their webinar is going to start in 1 hour. And then 45 minutes from then, we're going to remind them again it's 15 minutes. And then 15 minutes from then they're going to get a reminder that says it's live. And each of these emails will have a link to join as well. And what's going to be nice about the link that we're going to set up for you is that depending on when they click on it, again, they're going to go to those different pages. So we're going to make it really easy for you to just have one link that's in all of these webinars that gets registered for. And it'll work for each person based on what time it is basically they're in on this campaign. So pretty cool stuff. Pretty simple so far. So the next thing we want to do is set up the actual, let's set up the link to join this webinar. Does that sound good? Let's go there. So what we've done is, if we go to my features, I'll show you the one that I set up earlier for this. It's like a cooking show where you've already prepared everything, you're just showing them the parts here. So we have this one right here. It's a smart link. And here's how we've set it up. So when you have a smart link, you basically start by putting in an address and setting the tag that you want to indicate that this is the page they should go to when they have that tag and they click on the link. So we've made a tag that says, hey, Webby early, and we want to send them to the early webinar page. So yeah, live demo hasn't started yet. So this is what they'll see if they have that tag. And then the next one we want to do is, is if they're late. So we have a page that's for when people are late. Sorry, the demo is now over. Click check out when our next demo is scheduled, and a link back to the schedule page if you want to do it that way. And the tag we want to identify that for is Webby late. And now if they don't have any of those, we actually want them to go to the live webinar page. This one over here. There we go. So this is the one we'll send them to when it's actually live. That will autoplay the video and have the controls and all that stuff. And I'll show you how we set that up here in a little bit too. So if we go back there, when you finish doing this, it will go ahead and submit modifications. We're done. Yeah. You'll take this email, and this is a smart link feature in an email. So you'll use this link if you're going to put this link in one of your Infusionsoft emails. So that's what we'll do, and you'll see I've already added that to the email here when they first get registered. But what's cool about this link now is when it's in here, when they click on it, now it's going to check for those tags and see which one it should send them to. So we got to make sure those tags are set up correctly. So that's what I've done here. What you're seeing is right when they fill out that form, we'll go back, and they fill out the form to start the webinar. They come in here, and now there's a tag that tags them as they're early, right? So it hasn't started yet, and we want to make sure that we tag that so that it doesn't say they're allowed to see it until it's the right time. And so just so I can make sure this is right, so say it's 2 days, 9 a.m. What I should actually do is change this to wait at least 2 days and at 9 a.m. So this is now aligned with the timing of the webinar that they picked out basically. And what we're going to do then is we're going to remove that early tag so they don't have that anymore, and we're going to add the live tag. So these are all the tags that we set up when we did that smart link feature. And so it's good to keep a note of what those are when you do this as well. And then the last thing you're going to do, say your webinar is an hour, and it could be however length you want, but say that video you want to play is, well, we're saying it's an hour in this case. At that time we want to remove the live tag, and we want to add the tag that says they are now, let's move this over here. Helps if I do the right one. Alright, and we're going to apply the tag for when they are late. So this is, I'll show you these tags here too so you can see that they matched up. Alright, so late tag. So we just made demo Webby late. So these are nothing new. These are all the same tags that you saw us set up in that last feature for the smart link. And so what this allows us to track now, and we usually put this on its own line, is what tag they are at based on the time they are in this campaign basically. And so now that you've set that all up, when they click the links in these emails to join their webinar, it's going to take them to those different pages automatically based on which page they should actually be seeing for that time. So that is how you do the smart link. Now, the only other thing we want to set up is actual autoplay page itself. So I'll show you what we did for that. And there's two parts to this actually. So let's go pull that up really quick. And Auto Webby Live. So this again is just another optimized press page. I just like those. They're really simple and easy to set up. And basically the only tricky thing you have here is your embed code for your webinar here. So what you do when you can actually set this up here is you click on the pencil, you do your editing, and you're going to add your embed code. But before we do that, we're going to want to know if people actually attended our automated webinar or not, right? So the way we do that is we set up a video trigger. And so a video trigger is really cool. Those let us know when someone has watched a video and for how long. And based on how long they're watching it, we tag them differently. So I'll show you what we did. Well, actually I can't even do it on this one, but we'll make a new one really quick. So say we wanted to make a new video trigger. First thing you do is you'd go get your embed code. So we'll go get our embed code here. We'll copy this. And then we'll go to our feature and you just plop it in there. Boom, done. You click continue, and then once you set that up in there, you just tell it how long you want to wait until you give a tag. So let's say in about 2,700 seconds, we want to apply a tag that says they have actually watched the video. So we could go and find a tag on that really quick. And I believe right here, Auto Webby will say they watched the webinar. And then we just give it a name. We say like watched webinar test. And you're going to basically get a code based on wherever you want to end up posting this. So we're just going to put it on our website for this case. And you're going to get the code here. You're just going to copy it. And we're going to paste it into the embed code here. So that's what I did there. We just pasted that code here. So the other tricky thing that you're going to find is how do I make it so that I can hide all those controls that most videos have, and how do I get it so it actually will autoplay the video when they land on this page instead of it just having a big video button and then it just looks like it's not even a webinar anymore, right? So Wistia is a program that I definitely recommend. You can even use the free version to do a lot of this stuff. And they'll let you basically customize the controls. So we just removed the play button, the small play button, the play bar. We left volume control and full screen on just because those things are nice to have. And we don't want to be too annoying. So we did that. But this still doesn't take care of the autoplay stuff. So I'm going to show you how we did the actual autoplay here really quick. So the autoplay is in the code here. So we have a little script we made, and I'll copy this into the description or put it on the page when you guys watch this video so you can have it as well if you want to use Wistia to autoplay some videos for your auto webinars. But the only thing you have to change for this code to work for you is this little part right here in the quotation marks. And what you're replacing that with is basically the ID for your video, which you get right here when you have your video selected in Wistia. So super, super simple way to make it so you can autoplay your videos now and have a page that looks like one of these. This one. All right. And yeah, so that's all you have to do to get the auto webinar up. And now we're just going to go back to our campaign really quick so you can see. So we've covered how the link will work. We've covered the reminder emails and how those links work in there. Now we're looking at basically whether someone attended or watched your video or whether someone missed it. So this is all based on that tag that we set when we made that video trigger. So when we go to our campaign now, we can make a decision diamond that goes, hey, when they have this tag that says they watched the webinar, then we want them to go to the sequence for attended webinar. And if they don't have that, then we'll go to a sequence that says they missed the webinar. And that is pretty much it. I know this is a little bit more of an advanced idea guide, but it's not too bad if you can kind of pause it, go through it step by step, and implement it yourself. And the last thing I want to do before I close the video is just talk about a few other things you can do once you've got this basic setup in place. There's some other ways you can make your auto webinars even more compelling or feel even more realistic. And one of them is actually setting up a feature of ours called SMS reminders. So if you have some SMS messaging, what's neat about this is you can have some SMS messages that are automated to remind someone that their webinar is about to start. So as you're sending these reminders out, you can send out maybe one SMS when it's about 15 minutes, and it just has their name and it says, hey, Bob, your webinar is about to start in 15 minutes. Make sure to join us. We'll be excited to see you there. If you have an SMS reminder and an automated webinar like this, it's going to really impress them, and it's also going to make them a little bit more like, is this really a real thing or not? Like, they're going to at least wonder how you did it. So that's a really cool way you can do some extra little add-ons to your automated webinars to make them even cooler. Another thing you can do is you can use our smart links, like you saw there for that link to actually see the automated webinar, to offer some kind of timed offering after the webinar as well. So say your webinar is on some kind of coaching that you do, and you want to give them a limited time offering for the next 3 days after they've watched the webinar to get like maybe a free consultation or something with you. And so you could use those expiring offers with our smart links to basically make that happen for these people too. And what's cool about that is that makes this whole thing evergreen, where no matter when someone is signing up to watch your demo or your free video or whatever it is, they are getting a unique date for when their webinar is going to start, and then afterwards their follow-up is unique to when they actually watch the webinar as well. And it's a really effective way to automate a lot of your kind of selling process repeatedly without having to redo a webinar every month or whatever, and then try to like do the launch of it again and do all the other stuff. So I hope this is something that you all find useful, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.